In the darkness of the night, when the world grows quiet and only the voice of the soul remains, I want to invite you to sit for a while. No need to rush, no need to chase answers, because tonight we will speak of something often ignored, the strength found in wounds that were never healed. You see, many of us aren't truly living in the present. We exist in the shadows of past pain, pain that was never given the grace of healing, pain hidden behind polite smiles, shallow laughter, and forced busyness. But behind all of it, a part of us keeps crying, silently. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But what if we don't even realize we are reacting from old pain? What if most of our choices are anger? Even our biggest decisions are shaped by something broken inside. Unhealed wounds don't just hurt, they mislead. They build masks. They take you further from your true self. And this is where the power of Stoicism comes in. Not to erase the pain as if it never existed, but to stand before it and say, "I'm not afraid to remember, because I no longer allow the past to control the present." Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet honesty of his reflections, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." True strength is not found in suppressing the pain, but in bringing it into the light and still choosing calm. Still choosing awareness. Still choosing to move forward, even if it's with trembling steps. Now imagine, just for a moment, that tonight you have the courage to look at your wound. Not with fear, but with kindness. Not to judge, but to understand. Because understanding your wound, that is the first step to setting yourself free. Some wounds don't bleed. They don't scream. They just quietly shape who you become, the way you speak, the way you love, the way you leave. And over time, they grow roots inside your identity, convincing you that pain is part of who you are, that you are not enough without it. But let me tell you something, that is not true. Seneca, the wise Roman philosopher, once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." So ask yourself tonight, are you still suffering from what happened, or are you suffering from what you keep replaying? Because healing does not mean forgetting, it means remembering differently. It means looking at your scar and saying, "Yes, that happened, but it does not own me anymore." The night sky holds a lesson. It doesn't fear the darkness because it is filled with stars. Silent, constant reminders that even in the deepest black there is still light. Your soul too has stars. Memories of strength you forgot you had. Moments you survived when you thought you wouldn't. Decisions you made when you were terrified but made them anyway. Stoicism is not about being cold. It's about being still, even when chaos knocks on your door. It's about building a stronghold within, so that even when your past tries to drag you back, you remain unshaken. Epictetus told his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So how can we become masters of ourselves if we never stop to confront what still controls us from within? Start here. Ask yourself gently, what part of me is still hurting? And don't answer with shame. Answer with compassion, because your wound is not your enemy. It is the place where your soul is asking for light. And what is healing, if not the art of bringing light into forgotten rooms of the heart? Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet of his nights, wrote to himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What if your pain was never meant to stop you, but to shape you? What if the scar was not the end of the story, but the map to something deeper? Not a wall, but a door. Pain, when faced with stillness, begins to lose its grip, because stillness is not weakness, it is power withheld. It is strength wrapped in silence. It is choosing not to run, not to numb, not to lash out, but to sit with the ache and say, "I see you, but you do not command me." There are stars in your soul that were born from the darkest nights, moments where no one clapped, no one saw, no one knew, but you stood back up. That is Stoicism. Not a shield against emotion, but a channel of clarity through it. Not a rejection of feeling, but the discipline to choose your response. Ask yourself now, what burdens have you carried for too long simply because you forgot you could set them down? Let them go. Not because they were small, not because they didn't matter, but because you matter more. Seneca once wrote, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Make your life a good one, not by avoiding pain, but by walking through it. Head high, heart steady, soul calm. Because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more stillness. More people who know how to stand firm when the storm returns. People like you. Even in the quietest nights when doubt creeps in like a slow fog, the teachings remain. The Stoic path was never paved with comfort, but with clarity. Epictetus, once a slave, taught not from theory but from experience. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In this, he gave us the key. Not to control the world, but to control ourselves. To reclaim the only freedom no tyrant can steal. The freedom of our inner state. This is what it means to be Stoic. To look chaos in the eye and not blink. To love what is, even if it hurts. To stand inside the fire and whisper, "I remain." There will always be noise. Voices telling you to chase, to panic, to prove. But the Stoic chooses silence. Not because they have no answers, but because they are not baited by the world's questions. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he ruled his soul more fiercely. He said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That is your power too, to revoke fear, to reject despair, to stand in the middle of the storm and say, "I will not be moved." This is your rebellion, not loud, not violent, but quiet, unshakable, the Stoic rebellion. Stay calm, not because nothing matters, but because everything does, and that truth deserves your clearest self. You don't need to raise your voice to make an impact. You don't need to prove your worth to the crowd. You only need to wake up each day, look within, and ask, "What is in my control today?" That question is your sword and shield. It cuts through illusions, it protects your peace. Most people chase what they cannot hold: wealth, fame, validation. But the Stoic chases virtue. Because virtue cannot be taken, only given away. Seneca, the master of serenity amidst political turmoil, wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And how true that is. We build prisons with our thoughts, lock ourselves in rooms of regret and anxiety, then wonder why we can't breathe. But the door has always been open. The Stoic simply walks out of fear, out of anger, out of the noise, and into the vast silence of now. There the mind becomes clear, the body grounded, the soul steady. You begin to see that the world was never the enemy. Your reaction to it was. That is the rebellion, to smile when the world expects you to rage. To be still when the world demands you rush. To detach when the world wants you addicted. Marcus said, "You have power over your mind and not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And that strength, my friend, is silent. It's not shouted on social media. It's not worn like a medal, it's lived. Do not ask to escape difficulty. Ask to become stronger than it. You are not a leaf tossed by the wind. You are the mountain beneath the storm. When the night falls and silence covers the earth like a blanket, the Stoic does not fear the dark. Because within the dark, there is truth. There is nothing left to distract you, just you and your thoughts. This is where the real battle begins. Not against others, but against yourself. Your impulses, your ego, your fears. And yet this battle is sacred, because every time you choose discipline over chaos, every time you respond instead of react, you rise. Not in the eyes of the world, but in the depths of your own being. Epictetus, born a slave, crippled in body, yet freer than most kings, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So be your own master, not the slave of desire, opinion, or noise. Be calm, especially when it's hardest. That's when the rebellion matters most. The calm man is not weak, he is precise. He sees clearly while others panic. He chooses the narrow path while others rush to the wide gate. He is the still eye in the center of the storm. This is your call, not to arms but to awareness, not to war but to wisdom. Be calm in a noisy world, that is your quiet revolution. Thank you for listening. If this message stirred something within you, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's walk this path together. One breath, one virtue, one moment at a time. Until next time, stay grounded, stay clear, and keep walking calmly.